Welcome to Science Easy Tech channel. In this video, we are going to discuss about psychology unit number 3, that is cognitive process for Bsc Nursing students. The topic of today's video is learning, its definition, nature and types of learning. So this is my part 3A video in the unit 3, that is cognitive process. Already I have posted part 1 video with related to attention and part 2A and B video with related to perception. This video is not only useful for BSc Nursing students, it is also useful for post-basic BSc Nursing students, students who are studying general psychology as well as BEd students. Before moving on to the topic, if you are new to Science Easy Tech channel, just take a moment to subscribe our channel and also to press the notification bell icon in order to get connected with our latest updates. Let's move on to the contents. As I have told earlier, learning is a vast part. You have so many topics under this learning, so which will be dealt in part 3A, 3B, 3C and 3D, like that. Okay, so learning in 3A, introduction and definition of learning, nature of learning, types of learning, learner and learning. These topics we are going to see in this video. Moving on to introduction to learning, human beings have a special capacities. Every human being can learn and adjust to their environment. The learning starts from birth to death, or sometimes even we can say the learning starts even from the womb of the mother, that is uterus of the mother, to the tomb, that is graveyard. So let me relate to the Purana story, that is Mahabharata. In Mahabharata, so when Krishna is talking to his sister Subhadra, when she was pregnant, she fell asleep. So even though when she was sleeping also, what happens? Abhimanyu in her womb is still listening to the story. So learning starts from the mother's womb. This is a best example. Our personality, our habits, skills, knowledge, attitude, interest and character are all as a result of our learning process. So mainly our personality, your habits, your skills, attitudes, interest, knowledge and character are all due to learning. So most of the learning will be determining our human behavior. Some behavior can be adaptive behavior, or it can be in the other way, that is maladaptive behavior also. And this learning is a continuous process which helps us to adapt to the changes in the environment. For example, in 2020 we had a major pandemic of corona. So a nurse who has been trained before 20 years, in that period there is no corona like that and all. So if the nurse is going to tell that when I was studying, I have not taken care of corona patients, so that I will not take care, means then it is not appreciable. So we have to update our knowledge. We have to learn for the changes which are taking place constantly in the society. Moving on to the definition of learning. Learning is the acquisition of habits, knowledge and attitude. So learning is gaining what? Habits, acquiring habits, knowledge and attitudes. It involves new ways of doing things, so that you can learn new skills in doing things, and it operates on an individual attempts to overcome obstacles. So when you are learning new things, you may have so many obstacles, and how you have to move out of that obstacles or overcome that obstacles and adjust to a new situation. So you will be learning. So it represents progressive changes in behavior. Either the behavior can be adaptive or it can be maladaptive also. So it enables him to satisfy interest to attain a goal. So mostly what we are expecting, in order to achieve a goal, learning is very, very, very important. So learning is the acquisition of habits, knowledge and attitudes. It involves new ways of doing things, and it operates on an individual's attempt to overcome obstacles or to adjust to new situation. It represents progressive changes in behavior. It enables him to satisfy interest to attain a goal. So this definition was given by Crow and Crow in the year 1973. The term learning covers every modification in behavior. Okay, every modification means every change in behavior is as a result of learning, mainly to meet what? To meet the environmental requirements. The term learning covers every modification in behavior to meet your environmental requirements. What are the nature of learning? Learning is a process. Okay, it is a continuous process. It is not an end product. So learning is a continuous process and it is not a product. So it involves all the experiences as well as trainings what you are learning from your birth. Okay, and it is continuous. So whatever you are learning, okay, new things from training, or whatever it may be, so it is going to help you to make you to adjust to the environment and also to change your behavior. So it involves all those experiences and trainings of an individual right from his birth, which helps him to produce changes in his behavior. Learning brings change in behavior. Sometimes the behavior change can lead to improvement. Sometimes it can be in the other way also. Either it can bring development in the behavior or improvement in the behavior, or sometimes in the other side. Okay, it can lead to detriment of behavior. So learning prepares an individual for the necessary adjustment and adaptation. For adjustment and adaptation to the environment, learning is very, very, very important. So all learning is purposeful and goal oriented. So if you want to complete nursing, so your goal is to, at the end of the 4 years, you have to become a nurse. So you have to learn. So it has a purpose. A nursing student has a purpose when she is studying. So she has a specific aim or goal. Then the scope of learning is very comprehensive process. Comprehensive means wide process which involves cognitive, cognitive, and affective. So knowledge, attitude and skill we used to tell. So cognitive part, cognitive part means action part, okay, which involves your motor skill. Cognitive means it involves your higher mental functions like thinking, reasoning, intelligence, etc. Then affective is your emotions, okay, of human behavior. And learning is universal. You cannot tell that only learning takes place in India, in this particular part of the country, like that. So learning is worldwide, universe, okay, and it is continuous. Today if you are learning, tomorrow I will not learn new things, means no. Every day, every fraction of a second, you are learning new things. Every creature that lives on the human that lives on this universe or world learns. It's not only human beings, even the animals, everyone, they have learns, but we human beings have a special characteristics of 6 senses. So it is continuous, never ending process that goes from womb means mother's uterus, to tomb means graveyard. So learning, that is from birth to death, learning will be taking place. Learning does not include changes in behavior. Sometimes behavioral changes occurs, either it can be due to illness, fatigue, or maturation, or drugs. Okay, so the learning, you are not including it when there is some changes in behavior, like during developmental stages, or during some fatigue or tiredness, during any illness, or if you are taking any drugs, that time your behavior will be altered. So that and all we are not considering in learning. Learning is transferable from one situation to other situation. Okay, so sometimes you have got the experience from a previous situation, so that learning you will be putting in a different situation. So learning is transferable from one situation to other situation. Learning helps in the proper growth and development of the person. So learning leads to proper growth and development of the individual. Learning helps in balanced development of personality. Personality development is the ultimate goal of learning. So your behavior, your interest, the character of the individual, how you are going to behave, everything depends on your learning. Next is types of learning. You have so many types of learning. Under this stimulus response learning, just I will be reading it, because this classical conditioning, operant conditioning, instrumental conditioning, everything you will be learning in the next videos. That is in the laws of learning or theories of learning, we will be seeing the stimulus response learning. Whenever there is a stimulus, a response will be produced. When a stimulus is there, a response will be produced. Okay, so stimulus response learning. Conditional learning involves the conditions of response behavior based on the stimulus, association and substitution. Under this conditioning, you are having classical conditioning and instrumental conditioning. Just to listen what is classical conditioning, what is instrumental conditioning. I am not going in depth, because in my later videos I will be posting about classical conditioning, operant conditioning, or instrumental conditioning, everything, etc. So classical conditioning means association between two stimuli. unconditioned stimuli and conditional stimuli. Classical conditioning means association between two stimuli, that is unconditioned stimulus and conditioned stimulus. So this I will be dealing with the dog bell experiment in the later videos. Instrumental conditioning, association between a response and stimulus. See, in classical conditioning, two stimuli, okay, two stimuli, one will be unconditioned stimulus and other will be conditioned stimulus, that will be correlating. Instrumental conditioning, a stimuli will be associated with a response or a response will be associated with a stimulus. For example, if I am giving an assignment to the students and if I am asking if the students are going to do it, they are going to get very good marks and they are going to get an incentive or a reward for their hard work. Suppose if they are not doing, again they will be getting some punishment. So if I am taking it, so this is called as a reward or an incentive can be a positive reinforcement, whereas a punishment can be a negative reinforcement, like that. Next is perception learning. So perception learning means, see, our sense organs, whatever we are seeing through our sense organs, the sensation is followed by perception. So perception adds meaningfulness to the sensation. So this perception, with regard to perception, I have posted a video on in my part 2A and part 2B. The link has been given in the description box. You can watch those videos. So perception is the foundation of all higher mental forms of learning. Okay, so without a proper perception, even the sensation is proper also, if you are not perceiving it properly, learning will not be taking place. So learning is dependent on the relative perception of the senses. So you can see types of perceptual learning. You have visual learner, auditory learner and kinesthetic learner. So you have visual learner, that is learning by seeing. So when madam is demonstrating something, a procedure, you are seeing it and you are learning it how to do. Auditory learner, when the madam is demonstrating, at the same time she is telling no each and every step, you are hearing and you are learning it. Then kinesthetic learner, kinesthetic means you are doing it by your own experience. Once the teacher completes the procedure, you are doing written demonstration and you are learning no by means of touch, by means of doing with the hands. So you will be learning, that is known as kinesthetic learner. Learns best by feeling or experiencing, that is kinesthetic by means of touch. So if you are having a soft sponge, by seeing you can tell it's a soft sponge. Then by touching also you can feel whether it is soft or hard. So verbal learning means you are learning everything by means of verbal behavior. So learning of this type leads to acquisition of verbal behavior. So the languages we speak, everything by means of verbal learning. So spoken language, spoken English, like that and all they are giving no. Some foreign languages you can learn by means of spoken language. Okay, so the language we speak, communication devices, everything helps in verbal learning. So for this verbal learning, signs, pictures, symbols, words, figures, sounds and voice employed by individual are the essential instruments in the process of verbal learning. Motor learning means you are using some action of your muscles in order to learn some new skill. For example, you are learning driving, so you are learning swimming, you are learning to dancing, you are learning to play a piano or a keyboard. So like that, all these activities or playing volleyball or throw ball or football, so everything requires your skills from your muscles. So this type of learning which is related to some movement activities, it is called as motor learning. Concept learning. So when you learn by means of concepts, the learning will be better. So the mental images based on the previous experiences, you will be able to learn better by means of concepts. So for concepts you need to form mental images, which these mental images are formed better by means of your abstract or creativity thinking. So you can form mental images. For example, if you are asking a person to close their eyes, then you are showing a toy of car for the person. So by touching it, the person can relate it to the person can tell, even though his or eyes are closed also, he can tell that it is a car, because the person already have seen a car, the shape of a car, and the person can tell it is a car toy, like that. Okay, so for the formation of mental images, this concept learning, previous or past experiences and creativity or abstract thinking is very, very important. So this concept learning is based on one's imagination and mental concept forming. Next is problem solving learning. So every day we are facing many day to day problems. So this is a higher type of learning where you are using your all cognitive abilities. That is, cognitive abilities means higher mental functions like thinking, reasoning, judgment, intelligence, generalization, etc. in order to solve the problem. Next is attitude learning. Based on your attitude, the learning will depend. For example, psychology subject, if you are having a good attitude towards that subject, if you are thinking that the subject is very very easy, you will be learning well. Suppose if you are not at all interested in learning psychology, so you have a negative attitude towards psychology subject, so you may not have interest to study the psychology subject. Similarly, my teachers used to tell that if you want to learn a subject, either you should like the subject or you should like the teacher who is taking that subject. So either because of the teacher at least you will study, or because if you like the subject, at least for the subject you will be studying. If you are not interested on the teacher as well as not interested on the subject, then you may not be learning it. So attitude, based on your attitude, suppose if you are interested in some craft work, so when some craft show they are conducting, you will go and learn it with too much of interest because you like it. Okay, so this is attitude learning. Next is paired association learning. So paired association learning, many times we used to pair two or three things. So many times we used to keep the list of cranial nerves by using an mnemonic. Similarly, for cancer warning signs also, we use the acronym CAUTION, CAUTION. C for something, A for something, like that. You will be using so many things. So why we are associating the things? Okay, and learning means for better memory. Okay, here I have given an example. A boy's name is Krishna. Okay, so you may forget the boy's name. So how you can relate it? So one boy, he came and he asked whether your brother is staying in the home or not. You are telling no, my brother went to his aunt house, so he is not here right now. So okay, you tell that my name is Krishna, I am his friend, I came him to meet him. So once he came back, just inform me that I came and I went. But what you will be doing, you may forget the name. So how you can relate the name? So you can relate the name Krishna with God Krishna, Lord Krishna. So that after a day when your brother came also, you can tell that your friend Krishna came. And how you are keeping the name, sometimes you may have the good memory power, you can keep it. Suppose if you are having the tendency to forget the names means, so in such a way you can relate it and you can keep it. So much of the verbal or motor learning may occur by means of a technique, paired or multiple association. So many times we used to pair and we used to learn. Other types of learning are visual learning, auditory learning, kinesthetic learning, and tactile learning. So mostly only one type of learning alone will not come. There may be two types. For example, in playing chess, concept learning and verbal learning will be taking place. For example, in playing, in typing, both motor, your hands should type, and you have to hear by means of auditory or verbally they are telling, no, so you have to hear and you have to type it. Okay, so visual learning. So under visual you have movies, videos, pictures, maps, charts, graphs, field trips, computer software, dramatization experiments, etc. Under kinesthetic you have games, models and diagrams, math manipulatives, computer software, art crafts, hands and computer, hands-on practice, experiments, field trips. Under auditory learning you have read aloud, text to speech, debates, formal and informal discussions, lectures and speeches, books on tape, plays, music and songs. Tactile you have arts and craft, clay, modeling of cake. Tactile means by means of touch. You are doing some painting, art work, craft work, gardening, dressing up. Sewing means tailoring, math manipulations and clay modeling. So learner and learning. So learner and learning is very, very important. Okay, when the learner's ability, when the learner some basic qualities are necessary in order to have effective learning process. If the learner is not going to, learner is the person who is learning. If the learner is not going to have the basic qualities, then the learning will not be take place efficiently. What are some of the basic qualities? Are cognitive and appetitive. So what are some of the basic qualities? Cognitive and appetitive faculties. So these cognitive and appetitive faculties are very, very important in order for the learning to take place within the learner. What are these cognitive facilities? So if five senses should work properly, then only if the five senses are working properly, only learning will be taking place properly, so that you can see the surrounding environment and you can hear whatever is happening in the environment and you can perceive it. Next is your imagination. Okay, the same thing, if we are giving roles to two different students, a student with good imagination power will be telling about so many things about that rose than a person who is having less imagination power. So the learner's imagination power is very, very, very important. So he can create a pictorial representation of materials or objects and he can make the learning an effective process. Next is learner's memory. Okay, so many times you will be telling that he is having a very good memory, but this person is not having a very good memory, like that. So the learner's memory is very, very, very important. Then learner's intelligence. Okay, the learner's intellectual activities are very, very important. So some may be having very good IQ, intelligent quotient. Some will be having poor intelligence. So based on your intelligence and based on your memory also, the learning process may vary. Next is the appetitive faculty. So here the appetitive faculty, the learner's feelings, the pain, the joy, the emotions. If the person is very happy, the learning will be taking place better. Think that the person is somewhat disturbed, in mood disturbed, and the person is angry or emotionally disturbed, or the person is feeling depression. In such cases and all, the learning may not be taking place effectively. Next, with his or her own feelings, he can identify and experiment the real things about a particular thing or situation. Okay, based on his feelings. Suppose if you want to understand the patient's feelings, put yourself in that situation, and so that you can feel how the patient will be feeling. That sympathy, empathy, and all we are telling, no. So that based on that, you can. It affects all the learning also. Using the learner's rational will, he or she has the capacity to think and choose what is desirable according to his or her own analysis. For example, if you want to choose the problem, okay, problem solving, there are two options. The learner can use his own knowledge, intelligence, rational or thinking or reasonable thinking, and he can make choices, okay, for the problem to get solved. So this is what according to the users learners rational will. So in my next video, I'll be taking about the factors affecting learning. Hope this video is clear for you all. If you like my video, please give a thumbs up, share and subscribe to Science Easy Tech channel. My previous videos link I have given in description box, suggested end card, like card. Also the psychology playlist link also has been given in description box, and the previous videos posted separate link also I have given in description box, end card. Keep supporting to Science Easy Tech channel. Thanks for watching.